Brianna Jager. This is my rider, Katie Johnson, on Ivan, and my other rider, Marta Anderson, on Silvano. Today we are going to be going over a lengthened trot, and we're going to talk about how the lengthened trot can improve other exercises or other movements. And then we're also going to talk about how we can help teach a horse who doesn't know how to lengthen. Ivan is very inexperienced. He's learning it, but he needs a lot of help. So he'll be our beginner horse. Silvano's very good at lengthening, so we're going to use him to demonstrate how a lengthen can help make other movements better. These horses have already warmed up, and we have already checked stirrups and girths. So I'm going to have my riders head out to the rail and track left. And I want you to pick up a rising trot. And the first couple lengthens we do are always going to be rising. Do you know why that would be? Okay, we're going to do it at the rising trot because that way you're not hindering him. You're not getting in his way at all. If you were to sit the first couple lengthens, the whole idea of lengthening would kind of be ruined because you'd be restricting him a little bit. And we're wanting to use a lengthen for him to loosen him up and get him moving forward. So we don't want to do anything to restrict that forward motion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I was showing, is that the kind of thing I would do in warm-up and then change to sitting?
Yeah, even at shows, you would always want to post your first couple lengthens just to really get him moving forward. That way you're not restricting him at all.
Okay.
So just to start off, go ahead when you get to F, and let's come across the diagonal to H and ask him to lengthen. And this is his first one of the day, so we'll be a little understanding. What are you feeling in this lengthen that you like or dislike?
Well, I thought it was changed, but it didn't feel steady and it didn't feel powerful.
Yeah, so come and do it again on this diagonal. That was exactly what I would have said. First one, he's trying to get in the swing of things. That's a little better, a little more consistent. He's kind of just going along. He's lengthening, but not really well. So what I want you to do on this next long side, see if you can do a couple steps of shoulder in, like to P, and then ask him to lengthen. Did that one feel any better? So why do you think the shoulder in helps the trot, the lengthened trot?
I would say because if the shoulder in, you're putting more weight on the hind leg.
Mm-hmm.
So if you set them up for the lengthen, they can push off instead of drag themselves.
Right, that's exactly right. He's positioning himself a little more uphill so that when he goes to lengthen, he's already more uphill so he can use his body better and do a better lengthen. And with Ivan, we're going to do something a little bit different. What I want you to do is go ahead and pick up your posting trot. And down by C, I want you to pick up a canter and do a circle at the canter down there, and then take him onto the long side by H. And when you get onto that long side and he's going straight, I want you to bring him back down to a trot and push him to trot kind of as, not as fast as he can, but see if you can get him to go longer. So you have to be really steady in your posting so that he knows he's not supposed to just run off and get faster. So here, use your body to bring him down to a trot, kind of stiffen in your seat. Good, now go, push him, trot, trot. There you go. And then ask him to come back before he loses it. So go ahead and pick up a canter again, and we're going to do that exact same exercise on the other long side. This is just to help him get thinking about going forward and lengthening his stride. him back instead of getting in a tug of war because we're wanting him to be round. Good boy. And then you bring him back. So go ahead and walk for a second. Do you know why we used the canter before we asked him to lengthen his stride and his trot? Okay, the idea behind that is that the canter gets him going forward, and you always get your best steps of trot when you break down from the canter. So he canters, he's going really forward, you ask him to trot, and he's still really forward, he's still moving, and then you ask him to move even more, and that helps him understand that, oh, I kind of have another gait in there. Yes, it's a trot, but it's a faster trot, it's a longer trot. Right now it's going to be faster because he's not very strong, but the idea is to teach him that he has multiple trots. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
He's lengthening the stride in his trot, but like as a rider, like a young horse, how can you help them learn to slow down their stride but stay long?
You would have to do that by really controlling your own post. The horse has to be listening to you. They have to be in tune enough to listen to your body and not just your reins. Because if you pull, then they'll kind of get in a tug of war, so to speak, or throw their head up and lose their roundness. So what you need to do is make sure before you even get to this point that they're listening to your body so that when you slow your posting down, they know that they are supposed to keep the same tempo. And obviously, he's not going to do that overnight. It's going to take a little while. And then the other thing you can do is post longer. I guess try to stay out of the saddle just a hair longer so that he kind of gets the idea that he's supposed to take a longer stride. And again, it takes a little while. They have to figure it out. It's not something they can learn overnight. But being consistent over time will get you a good lengthen where they're really responding to your posting and your body to give you the tempo and the, I guess, length of stride that you're looking for. So why don't you go ahead and pick up a sitting trot this time. And does he feel kind of short right now to you? Oh, there he's longer.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, I want you to use a lengthen to get him to have a longer stride in general. So our next exercise we could do with him, since he's kind of getting a little stuck in the corner, is stay on the long side and have him do a couple steps of shoulder in, and then straighten out and lengthen on the long side, and then shoulder in, and then, straighten out and lengthen if you have time or space, I guess. So you can also kind of think about using your corners to bundle him up a little. You still want that long stride, but think about packaging that power up a little bit. There you go. Good boy. And then lengthen for a bit. And bring it back, shoulder in. There you go. Now I want you to try to kind of smooth it out, which is going to be hard because he gets to lengthening and he's like, oh yay, lengthen the full long side. So let's think about trying to make your transition smoother so that at any second you might change something and he needs to be ready for that. Yeah, that was much better transition. Did you feel that? Yeah. Because yes, he knows how to lengthen, but just because you're telling him to lengthen right here doesn't mean he's supposed to lengthen the full long side or the full diagonal. He needs to really be listening to you. Good boy. And you can let him walk at sea. Did you feel like that exercise was more helpful for him?
I think it was challenging for him.
Yeah?
Because I feel like he gets into the lengthen, and then when he gets tired, he falls apart because his body parts are actually shifting.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like asking him to lengthen and then going back to the shoulder in made him be more organized.
Yeah, you have to really think about it instead of just getting in the groove and going, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yes, it's hard for him, but that's definitely an exercise you should do with him to help him start listening to you a little bit more. I mean, obviously he does listen to you, but sometimes he thinks he's right or he knows what you're going to do next and he tries to read your mind. So kind of shaking things up a little bit is good for him. Let's do this shoulder in exercise going to the left this time. And we're not going to do the shoulder in to lengthen to shoulder in just because you wouldn't understand that at this point. We're just going to keep doing the shoulder in for, say H to S, just enough time to really establish it and get him rocked back on his hind end, and then we'll ask him to lengthen. And even when you think he can't give you more of a lengthen, I want you to keep asking him. Because he's got a lot in there. So think about getting him supple. There you go. Relaxed and round right now. This is easy for him. This is what you're going to use to help him get relaxed. And just kind of swing his shoulders off the rail. Yep, keep it easy. Good. Good. And go. There you go. And come back before the corner. Now another thing I want you to do on this next long side is kind of let him take your hands forward a little bit. Because for him to really lengthen, he needs to have a longer neck too. Don't throw him away, but just let him kind of pull your hands forward a little bit. But when he pulls your hands forward, make sure your shoulders stay back. So kind of float your hands forward, keep the connection, but let him lengthen. Lengthen everything, his neck, his legs, or his stride rather. Push him harder. Go, go. There you go, bring him back. This next long side, just ask him to go without doing the shoulder in. Really push him. Ah, good boy. Yeah, good job. Now bring him back, let him walk. And pat it. And I said bring it back, but let me clarify. Always make sure you bring him back to a working trot after you're lengthened before you walk. Because it's not lengthen, 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 all right, we're done. Because then he can kind of fall apart a little. I want you to lengthen, lengthen, bring him back to a working trot where he's organized, then walk, and then he can be done. Because if you just lengthen and then stop, you're throwing him away. And he's got all this power, and he's kind of disorganized, and you're kind of like dropping him. Does that make sense? Yeah. You didn't really do that, but I just wanted to clarify what I meant by bring him back and then walk. So that last one was completely different than any of the others, huh? That was really good for him. Good boy. So I think what you need to do when you're riding him is don't settle. Like you get a little bit, and it's okay, he's trying, but push him for more, because he has more in there. And there are lots of, different exercises you can use to help him bring that up, like the canter before your lengthen trot, or the shoulder in to lengthen trot. But then once you're asking him to lengthen, really push him, because he's never going to learn how to do it if you don't push him to do it. Does that make sense? So let's have Silvano pick up a trot, and you can do it sitting again. And we'll do the same exercise going the other way. So alter here, establish a rhythm, keep him supple, that's good. And swing into your shoulder in, make it easy, make it kind of like a dance. There you go. And straighten, lengthen. Is he coming back to you a little bit better now?
Yeah.
Because he looks like it.
I feel like he's more responsive to my inside leg.
Yeah. Good shoulder in. Oh, very That one he was a little harder to get back from, but he kind of had committed to that lengthening. So let's do that again on this long side, and we'll just keep him on edge. We're not gonna let him know what you're gonna do first. Good boy. Did that one feel better?
A lot better.
Yeah, why don't you let him walk and be done on that? Because he was much more responsive to you.
That corner felt so much better.
Yeah, I thought it looked really great. What felt better about it to you?
When I got to the corner, I could bend him, and I didn't have to try so hard to bend him and then like.
Yeah,
But I felt like the first couple times we lengthened towards the corner, when we got to the corner, he was like, well, forget you. And
yeah,
he was straight,
yeah.
like straight as a board to the corner, and then he was kind of falling at the ground trying to stay upright. So I felt like we were a lot more organized.
Yeah, he was a lot more relaxed too. It's hard lengthening in that short amount of time and then going into a corner because especially with a horse like him, he's like, all right, we're lengthening, let's go. But then when you're like, okay, we're going to bend for this corner and you have to come back, he's like, no, we just started lengthening. So that last corner was so much better. I did notice you had a lot more bend and he seemed kind of relaxed and a lot more supple through it. So that was really good for him.
I felt like I could have asked for a canter.
Yeah,
Not the line. I didn't feel like I had to.
and that's exactly what you want. That feeling where you could ask for anything at any moment in time. That shows that he's really paying attention to you. He's really in tune, and you're riding really well when you have that. Before teaching a lengthened trot, he needs to be able to have a steady tempo. He needs to be rhythmic. He also needs to be able to listen to your seat for control. Because if you're cantering and then you want to ask him to come back to a trot before you lengthen, you don't want to pull on him because then he might come up and get hollow. And if he's hollow, he's not going to be able to lengthen. So he needs to listen to you kind of stop cantering with your seat and your body and go, oh, we're not cantering, and then drop back into a trot. And then he's still round, he's still listening. You can push him into that length.